to the June the 17th Planning Board meeting, those in our audience and those joining us by television. At this time, we have our roll call.
Lyman Hardy.
Here.
Thomas Harris.
Here.
Aaron Hines.
Here.
Ricky Hines.
Here.
Clayton Malloy Jr.
Here.
Matt Nobles.
Here.
Johnny Penner.
Here.
Kenneth Ross.
Here.
Danny Smith. Mr. Chairman, Ms. Faye Barefoot will not be in attendance tonight.
Okay, thank you. We'll stand out for a prayer. Then Clay Malloy will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Our gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to come here and do the business of the citizens of Pitt County. To help them as they go about their business and increasing their lives and function for the county. All these blessings in your name, amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now, approval of the minutes.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes.
Second.
Okay, everybody in favor say aye.
Aye.
And it's been approved. At this time, Mark, if you'll come up for the zoning request we have.
Good evening. Okay, the first request we have tonight is from John Powers. It's a rezoning request. It's a request to rezone 1.139 acres located on the northern side of SR 1535, that's Sunnyside Road, just east of the Bradford Creek Golf Course, parcel number 23686, from general commercial conditional use for RV sales and service to rural agricultural. This is an aerial view of the subject property. See the parent parcel outlined in red, that's about 30 acres, and the proposed rezoning area is shaded in yellow. That was rezoned back in 2006 to allow for the RV sales and service as a conditional use. Here's a close-up of the building that's taking up the main portion of the rezoning area. Here's a view of the single-family residence on the property, and the proposed rezoning area is just behind that residence. It's a view to the west of on the property of RV sites that are located on the parent parcel. There's the eastern portion of the subject property and some more RV sites on the eastern portion. This is the view looking across Sunnyside Road. This is looking west on Sunnyside Road and looking east on Sunnyside. Future land use map has the majority or pretty much the entirety area surrounding this property as rural residential agricultural. You can see Bradford Creek in the bottom of the screen. The rural residential agricultural designation is intended to include low density residential, agriculture, forestry, churches, very limited commercial, office, or public and institutional uses meeting locational criteria. Here's our existing land use map. You can see the area is largely undeveloped, but there are some residential land uses along Sunnyside Road. And you can see Bradford Creek in the bottom. Here's our current zoning map. Pretty much everything out there is rural agricultural, with the exception of the area proposed to be rezoned, which is general commercial conditional use. And the rural agricultural district is intended to accommodate very low density residential uses, as well as associated public and institutional uses, low intensity commercial uses, and agricultural related and industrial uses, which are interspersed throughout the areas that are principally categorized as rural in nature. So given the subject property's proximity to similarly zoned property and its classification as rural residential agricultural in the comprehensive land use plan, the request is in general conformance with the land use plan, and it meets the guidelines for the rural agricultural district in their zoning ordinance. So staff recommends approval of the request by John Powers to rezone 1.139 acres located on the north side of SR 1535, parcel number 23686, from general commercial conditional use to rural agricultural. And we advise that the request is consistent with the Pitt County Comprehensive Land Use Plan because it's designated as rural residential agricultural on the future land use map, and it's surrounded by existing rural agricultural zone properties. And we also advise that the request is reasonable and in the public interest because the proposed zoning district will minimize any potential conflicts between existing land uses. Here's an outline of the rezoning process. Public comments can now be entertained by the planning board, and then you'll make a recommendation to the Board of Commissioners, and they're proposed to hear this request July 20th, 2015. At that time, we'll take action on the request. I can answer any questions, or you can open up for public comments.
Anybody has any questions for Mark? This time I'll open the floor for discussion on this. Anybody feel for or against it, come up and give your name and address. You have 3 minutes. Seeing none, got a public hearing closed. What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Have a motion approved and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Okay, it's been approved. Thank you, Mark, for that one. Good to next.
All right, the second request tonight is slightly different than rezoning. It's a rezoning application amendment request. This is in relation to a rezoning that was approved last year. This is a request by Alex Ponstra Mulch to amend a previously approved site plan for 1.181 acres located on SR 1725, that's County Home Road, north of its intersection with Ellison Court, parcel 82245, and it's zoned general commercial conditional district for pine straw and mulch sales and landscaping services. It's before you tonight because substantial changes were made in the site plan, and that triggered a review of the application and requires approval by the Board of Commissioners. So new conditions may be imposed on the site, but the applicant may reject such additional conditions and proceed with the previously approved site plan. There's an aerial view of the subject property. It's shaded in yellow. It's just north of Worthington's Crossroads on County Home Road. Here's a picture of the site. It took up about 4 manufactured home spaces within the existing manufactured home park. There's our current zoning map that shows it's zoned general commercial, and it's in close proximity to some other general commercial. This is the previously approved site plan. It was approved last year. And you have in your packet a clear version of the proposed site plan, but we'll highlight some where everything is on the screen. So the mulch bins are proposed along County Home Road side, some pine straw storage along the eastern portion, as well as equipment parking to the north and customer parking to the southeast portion of the site, close to the office. And there's a gravel driveway in the middle. They are proposing a 6-foot privacy fence along the eastern and northern property lines or portions of this site, as well as landscaping on 3 sides. So given the subject property's proximity to other similarly zoned property, its classification as commercial crossroads in the land use plan, as well as the current zoning of the property, the request is in general conformance with the land use plan. And staff also advises that the request is reasonable in the public interest because the proposed site plan will limit and minimize any potential conflicts between the adjacent land uses. The staff recommends approval of the request by Alex Ponstra Mulch to amend the previously approved site plan located on the corner of SR 1725 and Ellison Court, parcel number 82245, zone general commercial conditional district. And we advise that the request is reasonable in the public interest and is consistent with the comprehensive land use plan. So this follows a similar process as the rezoning. Public comments can be entertained by the planning board, and then you'll make a recommendation to the Board of Commissioners, and they're scheduled to hear this as well on July 20th of this year, and at that time, they'll take action on their request. So I can answer any questions, or you can go ahead and open up for public comments.
Does anybody on the board have any questions? I think most of you went out and looked at the site already, so, at this time, we open the public hearing. I have one person to sign up to speak. Mark, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Ross and board members. I'm Mike Baldwin, represent Alex Pine Straw and Mulch. As Mark said, the use hadn't changed. It's mulch sales, pine straw sales, and landscaping business. The size of the lot hadn't changed. Just in meeting with the owners, probably 3 or 4 meetings, they've just got bigger goals than what I had envisioned back when I submitted the smaller scale, size down site plan back in, it was last fall. But it's a good thing. It'll provide some areas where I had just pine straw storage out in the open. They want to get 80,000 bales under a shelter to keep the sun off of it. The shelter is sized for 80,000 bales. The other thing is the shelter for their vehicles. They started listing all the numerous vehicles that they had that I had no idea of at the time. One of those buildings is for that. The mulch bins, they got just a little bit bigger, but some bigger in quantity, but the reason to accommodate different styles of mulch. But with that in mind, office got quite a bit bigger as well, because to accommodate their growth that they plan on having here. As soon as they were conveyed the property from Ludi Moore, they bought the whole mobile home park. They got rid of the 4 mobile homes on this lot, so they're anxiously waiting to get going, and I'll be glad to answer any questions, and hope for y'all's approval of this item.
Anybody have any questions? Thank you so much,
All right, thank y'all.
Mike. Anybody for or against, have anybody against it? Having none. I close the public hearing. What's the pleasure of the board?
Make a motion, we accept staff
Second it.
recommendation and approve.
Motion been made and second. Let's all vote, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, we have a few informational items in your package tonight. We thought we'd bring you up to date on some pretty large transportation projects that are coming our way here in Pitt County, as well as one also that I know this board was interested in. On page of your agenda, page 33, you can follow on the memo, but on the screen you'll also have a map showing the Southwest Bypass and its alignment. This right-of-way corridor was established several years ago. This project's kind of been on again, off again. The funding is now available. It's also proceeded into the contract, and that contract was let just a month or so ago. It is for a design-build project for the entire 13-mile corridor. So as you can see on the screen, this will pick up where the Northwest Bypass currently dead ends on 264 that runs back to Farmville or into as to Stantonsburg Road heading into town. It will take off from there, having a major interchange with Dickinson Avenue Extension, another interchange with Four Lines Road. Will cross Pocosin and NC 903 without interchanges. It will also be an interchange just east, or I should say just west of Aden on 102, and then ultimately tie back into the current NC 11 corridor south of Ayden. So about 13 miles through there. Right-of-way acquisition will start later this year. Surprisingly, construction goes ahead, begins next year, and what they're advising is it's going to be a 3-year construction process. It's just almost unheard of for this type of project. So hopefully it can stay on schedule, so you may be able to ride on this particular road by 2019. So that's pretty impressive. Any questions about Southwest Bypass? Oh, one other significant thing, it came in well below budget, which is almost unheard of too, so that's a good thing. 10th Street Connector, this is a project that's being funded by several local entities, including the city of Greenville. This will pick up at Memorial Drive. There will be some changes right there at the intersection of Stantonsburg Road and Memorial Drive, where it then turns into Farmville Boulevard. If you've been down Farmville Boulevard lately, you can already see several homes have been demolished. Right-of-way has been acquired through there already. Once you get right up to the Sadie Salter school, that road, the new road, will punch directly straight across that 90-degree turn there and ultimately hit an overpass of the railroad track very close to Dickinson Avenue, and the terminus for this particular project is where 10th Street, the current 10th Street, runs or intersects with Evans Street. So that will be a tremendous improvement to get folks going east to west across town. And most importantly, it includes an overpass that we sorely need getting across the railroad track, trying to get folks, especially to the hospital and so forth. So that's going to be a major improvement. The university, of course, also has some plans for improvements along this very eastern end, close to the Evans Street intersection. And this is anticipated to be constructions to be, it starts a little bit later and hopefully will be completed in about a year in 2017, and for a complete cost of about $22 million. Any questions on the 10th Street Connector? More local project that I know a couple of you had interest in is the, we actually put in a request to DOT to look at this safety improvement at the intersection of NC 222 and Old River Road. Construction, and a couple of you go through this intersection more than I do. Construction's supposed to be very close to being complete, hopefully sometime next month, and an estimated cost of about $52,000. And basically what we're ending up with are some raised concrete medians on Old River Road, still have the same stop condition on Old River Road, and the free flow and traffic would be on NC 222. Again, just a safety improvement there at the intersection itself. So Mr. Penner, any updates on that one?
They have finished the paving, seeding. I think all they got to do now is put the medians in.
Very good. Okay. One other item is the McGowan's Crossroads roundabout, and again, you may be familiar, we've got one roundabout that most people have gotten accustomed to at the eastern terminus of Fire Tower Road, where it intersects with Portertown Road. Being that's been fairly successful, this will be our second chance of having one here in Pitt County. This is a busy intersection, and you may recall there was a serious wreck here last year. The church here on the corner, there was actually someone that hit the side of the church and also sustained injuries as well. There are a number of utilities at this intersection that are having to be relocated, and in turn, even though the funds have been made available and the contract's been let, the true construction work on the roundabout probably will be delayed until next summer once the school traffic concludes. So any questions about any of those transportation projects?
James, that Mills and Ivy Road, is that house gonna have to be moved? Because the stakes
Church.
look mighty close to it.
Church.
Not,
No,
to
the
my
house.
knowledge, no. The house would not be, as far as I know, it is taking a sizable amount of that front yard, but to my knowledge, they did not buy out that entire lot. So it is going to be a little bit offset. The roundabout will,
Because of the church.
because of the church, it'll dip more around this corner and down in this area here versus truly right at the intersection proper. Okay, a couple other things. Just so you're aware, a couple of years ago, the town of Winterville did take over their inspections program, building inspections program. And in turn, with that, it's certainly more suitable that they also handle the flood damage prevention ordinance requirements, because a lot of that is tied to the building permit process. Effective July the 1st, that will happen. So we're currently assisting them with that process right now. Pleased to announce also the Regional Hazard Mitigation Plan. I mentioned last month we as staff were going to start our circuit rider tour to the municipalities to make sure that everyone got the plan adopted within a certain amount of time. That's been done. All 10 municipalities have agreed to adopt the ordinance. So we're now working to get all the information back to our consultant so it can be completed, and we'll have a new plan in place before July 15th, which is our expiration date on the current plan. A couple other items, the Candlewick Community Development Block Grant, and this is for an infrastructure project. It's actually to service, provide sewer service to a area out off Stantonsburg Road that has a sizable percentage of folks that are experiencing septic system failures. We were successful in acquiring $3 million from the state for this project. So that was accepted by the board at the June 1st meeting. At the meeting on June 15th, we also entered into an interlocal agreement with the Candlewick Area Sanitary District, as well as with an engineering firm, McDavid and Associates out of Farmville, for all the engineering services for that project. And this is just an idea. This is the project area. What's currently included is about 50 lots here shown in the red boundary. The entire Candlewick Area Sanitary District shown in yellow. So this area is the area to be shown, to be served in red. Also in your package is our monthly report for May and some other articles for your reading pleasure. And of course, folks that have questions or need other information about our activities can visit us on the web at the website shown on the screen. Welcome any questions, Mr. Chairman, but that's all we have for tonight.
All right, thank you, James. Appreciate the job you and your staff do.
Thank you.
Does anybody have
Move to adjourn.
anything else to come for the board other than adjournment? Have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion.
All right.